Hi, everybody. Welcome back. What we're going to do today is we're going to look at one of the systems in our body called the nervous system. Okay. Yesterday we looked at the levels of organization in a body. So I'm in an organism. So I'm going to go over those really quickly, just so to refresh your mind. So the smallest living structure in your body is considered a cell. Okay. And so we're going to be talking about multicellular organisms, obviously, because they have more than one cell. So if you take one specific kind of cell and you put them together and they're all doing the same job, that's called nervous tissue. Okay. In the nervous system, it's called nervous tissue. If you take different kinds of nervous tissue and put them together, then it's called an organ. And an example of an organ in the nervous system is the brain. Okay. And so then the brain works with other parts of the nervous system, and that constitutes the system, right? The brain, the spinal cord, the nerves, all of that constitutes the system. And then when you put all of those systems together, now you have what we call an organism. Now, this is where it starts in terms of living things. But remember that back here, right before cells, we have atoms, and then atoms come together and they make molecules. But they're non-living, which is why I'm not dealing with this. Why I'm not dealing with this part today. Okay, so let's go on. The first thing we're going to look at is what does the nervous system do? Okay, so it has really important function, incredibly important. So it sends signals to your body and it receives signals from the outside. So these signals can come from within your body, like say you're running and your body starts getting really, really hot. So its signal is coming from the inside of your body saying, whoa, my body temperature is getting hot. So what does your body do in response? You start to sweat. Okay. An external signal would be that it's 100 degrees out and you're saying, whoa, man, this is really hot. I better make sure that I keep hydrated, right? So you're recognizing a condition outside and you are going to make some decisions to take care of that issue. Okay. So the signals can come from either inside your body or they can come from outside your body. Now, cells in a nervous system have a specific, and there are different types of them, but the big umbrella term is called a neuron. Okay. And if you look down here in the orange, it says the nervous system is made of billions of nerve cells, also called neurons, which join together to make nerves. And nerves send impulses through the body. Okay. So they send signals through the body. And the way that these signals come is they go from this part. So this is like the body of the neuron. And you don't have to know this at this point, but these are the dendrites. And so the signal comes in there, it gets carried down here, and then it goes out the axon. Now you would have another one of these guys over here. And so it's sort of like a linked fence. Okay. You have a neuron, then a neuron, then a neuron, and it goes from here and it goes down. And that's how signals get from one part of your body to the other, right? You step on a rock and you're barefoot. That signal shoots through you, go, and really quickly that you're like, oh man, I stepped on something. It's because the signal is coming from your foot. It's being sent all the way up to your leg, to your spinal cord, to your brain. Okay. Um, so we looked at these levels of organization. So the neuron, remember we just looked at that real quickly. The neuron is the individual cell. Tissues are more than one cell, but they're the same kind of cell, right? But they're all doing the same job. And then an organ is different types of cells and tissues that are working towards a main goal. And then organs together make up organ systems. And when we put all the systems together, it's the organism. Okay, don't lose sight of this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the case that the nervous system is typically separated into two parts. It is separated into the central nervous system, which is this slide, and is also separated into the peripheral nervous system. Okay, so when you look at the nervous system, it's basically two things: it's your brain and it's your spinal cord. Those are your central nervous system. Okay. It controls everything. It controls everything in your body. And so Even when you're sleeping, even when you don't think you're paying attention, your body is sending and receiving messages all the time, right? If you sit in a chair too long and your leg goes numb, right? So you probably cut off, blood supply to your leg a little bit, or you pinched a nerve or whatever. Your body is still sending messages, and when it really starts to hurt, it's going to send you a message. And it's going to tell you need to get your behind up and walk a little bit, okay, to get rid of that. But that is from your nervous system sending the message, right? It's getting messages from your legs or your hands or whatever's falling asleep, and sends it up to the brain. Then the spinal cord runs from the base of your brain all the way down, right? And you're going to see in the next slides that there are nerves that come off of this, but that's not part of the central nervous system. Central nervous system is the brain and the spinal cord. That's it. Okay. And so it's a pathway. So when you are getting signals from the peripheral nervous system, they go to the spinal cord and they go up to the brain. So it's sort of like the spinal cord is like 290 in Worcester, right? It's the major roadway going through the city in terms of highways. Okay. And then so that's the central nervous system. That's the first part. And the second part of the nervous system is called the peripheral nervous system. So if you're sitting here and there's something happening over, like over here on the side, and you see it out of the corner of your eye, that is said to be seeing that with peripheral vision, right? So if you take your hands and you go like this, depending on how good your peripheral vision is, like my hands are almost level with my shoulders, and I can see my fingers on either side of my eye. So periphery means the outside. And if you remember that, it makes it easier to remember what's the central nervous system. What's the peripheral nervous system? So the peripheral nervous system is all of those nerves that carry messages. And where do they carry it to? They carry it to the central nervous system, right? So you pick your finger, the nerve impulse goes all the way up your arm, goes into your spinal cord, and then it goes up to your brain. Okay, and so in the peripheral nervous system, you have two kinds of nerves. The first one is considered sensory nerves. So sensory nerves they are connected to your senses, literally connected to your five senses. And I like to tell my kids that you think of sensory nerves as being part of your senses. Okay. And then motor nerves are part of your muscle, M and S and S. So motor nerves control your muscles. Okay. So notice though that those nerves both have to feed back to the central nervous system, right? So the motor nerves tell your brain to move your arm or to move your leg, but there has to be a connection in order to move that muscle. And then the sensory nerves, remember, are you being able to detect what's going on in your environment using your senses. Okay, and so that's gonna wrap that up. So now what you're gonna need to do is you need to go into your slide deck, and I think there are three three tasks three tasks with us today, and go through it. Feel free to use this if you want to come back. There's a couple questions that you might need to come back if you don't remember, and then work your way through, and then you're all done. Thank you.